Hi, all Slim here. So before 0.5 PoE2, I played about around 6 builds, so pretty new at this game. Note that I have multiple years of PoE1 experience that helps me a lot. So if I got to maps multiple times without any problems in 0.5, anybody can. Also note that I'm assuming you are using build guides, as I always do in PoE 1 and 2. This is intended for beginners struggling to get to maps or get to tier 15, and it could be refreshing to see this from a beginner's perspective. Before 0.5, I struggled hard to get to maps. Got there only once with I Shot Deadeye build. Why I failed with the other builds I tried, you ask? Well, mostly two things. First, got bored because I was not feeling OP like I am used to in PoE 1. I just need to accept that PoE 2 is not PoE 1. Second, was in the impression of doing ZDPS at Act 3 or 4 and stopped. So ZDPS meaning zero damage. So I was taking a lot of time to kill bosses, and the same for blue packs of mobs, which I pretty much one-shot in PoE 1 even during Act 1. If I don't at least kill packs of white mobs one-shot pretty much all the time, I am not having fun. In my opinion, I made the mistake of trying to get the PoE 1 experience in 2, and also lack of knowledge and experience prevented me to get to maps. As of 0.5, I have no problem at all getting to maps and progress there also. I think that from now on, I can get to maps with pretty much any builds now. These are the 3 builds I played in this league. Monk, couple of variations, I Shot Deadeye, and Djinn Sorceress. All build guides I used are on Mobalytics or Max Roll. For the I Shot, I suggest the Fub Gun version on MOBA, which I think is better, but I did do the campaign and progress a long time in maps with the one on Max Roll. That is not from Fub Gun, and I had no issues. I just prefer the Fub Gun version. Since I had a much harder time with Monk, I will not suggest it, since I think for beginners, melee builds are harder to progress. So I will only talk about I Shot and the Djinn build. If I had to redo the 0.5 entirely, I would do this. League start with I Shot, and when tired of grinding in maps or hitting a wall, I would then go with Djinn Sorceress, even though both are good league starters. While leveling with I Shot, I would also pick up gear for the Djinn build during the campaign and in maps to make it easier to do the campaign and map transition, since you will have gold, currency, and leveling gear. Let's start with my pros and cons of the I Shot build. What you're seeing in the background is my I Shot farming to get to tier 15 maps before I switch to Fub Gun's version of the build, which I found better. So the cons. Squishy, like a lot of ranger builds. I still did not die often. You need to level your bow and quiver as often as you can, because most of your damage comes from them. Often guides suggest every 5 levels. Hard to get res capped. I got it only in the beginning of maps, so never got res capped during the campaign. You need to be at least level 31 to use I Shot. If you are not a speed runner like me, this means a very long time. But the good news regarding this is that you level until then with Lightning Arrow, which is still fun and OP. Single target, so bossing is not that great, but still okay. A lot of buttons. Personally, this is not a con for me, but if you are looking at a 1 button build, this is not it. Until a lot further, where you can pretty much just use I Shot. So let's go with the pros now. OP, very fun, very fast, very gratifying. Freezing stuff is one of the best defense layer. Good clear. Easy campaign, easy map transition, easy map progression. Ascendancy, relatively easy to do. Just make sure you have good honor resist. Easy to gear. A lot of good stuff available on the market and cheap if you are not talking about amazing gear. Very good to farm, no need to over level anywhere to progress. And as soon as you do your first ascendancy and switch to ice shot, you will be more OP and will continue to be so from there. Now let's talk about the Sorceress Djinn build. This build is freaking amazing and very OP. I would not be surprised that it will get nerfed next league. In PoE.Ninja, it is the second most popular build in HCSSF, which means Hardcore Solo Southbound, as of today, and normally the most popular builds in HCSSF are very easy to play on Trade Link. Before I start with the pros and cons, for people like me that hate minion builds, I have to say that I had tons of fun with this one, since I consider it a hybrid build, meaning you still do a lot of damage yourself and you are not continually raising minions. That part is automatic. On max roll, the build is called the Disciple of Varashta minion build from Helmbreaker. What you are seeing in the background is me doing tier 15 maps. And also note that each time I struggled with some bosses using my ice shot, I switched to this build and had no problems even if 1 or 2 levels lower. So the cons, very slow start. You have to be patient, but not that much since you will start to be OP right after your first ascendancy, which you will probably do at the start of Act 2 or something around that. There is a couple of transitions during the campaign. I'm putting it as a con since there is a lot of changing stuff around, but for me, I really enjoyed that part because at each transition, I was getting more and more OP. The biggest con, in my opinion, is screen clutter. Often you will have a hard time figure out what is happening, but moving around and doing your rotations will do the job just fine without really needing to know what is happening. A lot of buttons. Even though at one point your minions will do some fair amount of damage and you can pretty much play it as a 0 button build for standing clear. In my playthrough, most of the time I was using a Djinn action only to clear faster, so 1 button most of the time. After a while, when things get rough a little bit, this is where your rotation will have a lot of buttons because you will use something like 2 minion buffs, 2 debuffs, and 3 or 4 Djinn actions. So the pros, very fun even if you don't like minion builds. Fast after first ascendancy, good clear, good bossing, no need for perfect gear. The only thing you are looking for is +1 to all minion skills, which you can get from your weapon or your gloves or your amulet, if I remember well. So not that difficult to get, and a lot of those gear are available on the market and cheap. The guide says if you have the choice of, let's say, a very good weapon with no +1 and a bad one with +1, use the bad one. Easy to get res cap, very OP, very gratifying, can be league started, easy campaign, easy map transition, easy map progression. Strongest build I've played so far. Now to end this video, I'm going to give my personal thoughts on tips in general as a beginner to a beginner. The more you advance in general, the more OP you should get. If it's the other way around, it probably means you are doing something wrong and you need to investigate. If you are using a build guide, which I strongly suggest if your goal is to get further in the game, doing a second read of the build guide could help to figure out why you're not progressing normally, because maybe you missed something in the notes that is important. I personally do at least 2 or 3 reads of the build guide during my gameplay, and often when I have like just a couple of minutes waiting for something, I would take my phone, go to the build guide, read it, and often when it is the second and maybe the third time, I often get to a point where I say to myself, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Even though it is not as far as PoE 1 regarding this, PoE 2 gratifies learning and experience, so the more you play, the more you will understand and the more you will be OP. There is a lot of good gear for low level on the market, so don't be afraid to look things up even in the beginning of the campaign. If your goal is not to speedrun like pros, but still want to do the campaign as fast as you can while enjoying the gameplay, meaning you're not just running and skipping a lot of stuff, I would suggest to run around as often as you can and just stop when there is a good pack. For example, there is 2 or 3 mobs around you. Don't bother. Continue to run forward. At one point, there will be more and more and a pack will form. This is where you can stop and kill them. I think like in PoE 1, the most efficient way to get XP is focusing only on blue packs of mobs, and if you see that it will take a long time to kill a yellow mob, just skip it and continue your route. Always trying to get from A to B. Don't try to do the whole map before leaving if you want to be more efficient regarding your time. Looking at one full gameplay of a good player that explains everything will give you a lot of information, and you will probably learn a lot of things in just one playthrough, which will help you a lot to progress further than what you are used to. Don't try to do everything the best possible way like often suggested by people. This takes time and experience. If looking at gear in a build guide, see the gear as suggested and optimal. Don't try to get the exact same thing. Just focus on getting something near. For example, the guide shows an armor with 100 health, 20 to cold and lightning res with spell suppress, and let's say 2 or 3 other stuff. Getting an armor with 40 health, okay cold res, and 1 out of the 3 other stuff, it's okay. Until you are min-maxing in tier 15 and up, just getting gear that resembles a little bit with what the guide suggests is okay. This is more for console, I think. If you have a low-level piece of gear that has good stats and you want to replace it, but it's hard to replace because it has good things on it, but at low level, you can price check it. It will automatically put all those stats in the trade, so you don't have to manually add them all when creating a new market search. After, you can just disable the ones you don't really need, and even in the minimum and maximum parts of the stats, augment the maximum to something a lot higher so you are not limited in your search. I know that in PoE and Trade League, the focus should be getting more currency so you can buy more and better stuff. Personally, I don't focus on that. I try to buy stuff with currency I got from my gameplay, not by selling stuff. Yes, from time to time, if I think something may be valuable and I will never need it, I will do a price check, and from time to time I get surprised on the price I could sell it and then try to sell it. I think in the beginning, you should focus more on the gameplay versus putting a lot of time to figure out what and at what price to sell your stuff, since at the start it could be very time consuming for little return on your time investment. The more you will learn about the game, the faster you will be at making those kind of decisions. So until you are farming endgame, you don't need to focus on selling a lot of stuff for stuff that sells good. Some boss fights you will feel like it is impossible to beat, which happened to me a couple of times. Like in PoE 1 and pretty much in all ARPGs, taking the time to watch a guide on how to beat it helps a lot. I also sometimes record myself so I can better see what are the mistakes I make. Sound cues are also important for bosses to beat them more easily. Until late game, so I would say around tier 15 maps, you never really have to farm a bit to get more levels to go further. Doing just a normal campaign playthrough where you are not skipping most of the stuff will pretty much make you about the same level of where you are. I did that mistake a lot at the beginning when I started playing PoE 2 because I was trying to be as OP as when I played PoE 1, but I found out in my playthrough in 0.5 that using a good build guide and understanding it, you really never need to do this. Don't try to do what content creators do, meaning one-shotting everything in a second. This probably won't happen. You see a build guide where the guy just destroys everything, and you might think, yeah, I want to destroy everything also very quickly, like he does. So I will use his build guide. It will not happen, but it may help you get further in the game. Looking at Peewee.Ninja to see what is the most popular builds in the different leagues can help you decide what to play. Often, looking at HCSSF builds will make this build easy to play in trade. I suggest not playing a melee build until you are a little bit more comfy in the game, since I think they are more difficult. Range and minions are easier for beginners, I think. Be sure you are seeing the tag League Start if it is your first playthrough in the league when using a build guide. Let's say you have a lot of difficulty to finish the campaign. One approach I suggest would be this. Figure out which build you want to invest in, that you want to play for a long time. Look at what kind of gear you need for this build. Then, go find another build that you will play first, that will be enjoyable, and go as far as you can, and while you do this, pick up stuff for your next build. When you will play it, having access to okay leveling gear while doing the campaign will make your playthrough a lot easier. Try to cap your resistances and have as much health as possible as fast as you can. DPS should come second in priority. Don't forget to change your flasks for better ones from time to time. Also look at the charms you are using. From my experience, a charm that gives me immunity to poison helped me a lot during the campaign. Don't hoard currency too much. If one exalt item doubles your defense or DPS, use it. Sometimes the answer is not I need more damage. Sometimes it is just to slow down a bit. Sometimes you feel you are going nowhere, but you may be just a couple of levels away from a transition where the build will pick up. Your first goal should be not... Let me start this again. Your first goal should not be go to tier 15 maps. It should be to finish the campaign. So if you give yourself some goals that are attainable, it will be just more gratifying and progress from there. Even a failed character can be a successful learning experience. So let's end with one last tip. Don't compare your progress to streamers. This is probably one of the biggest traps. People watch a streamer on day 2 of the league farming T15 and think they're behind. What they don't see is thousands of hours of ARPG experience, extensive game knowledge, hours spent planning before league's launch, help from viewers, guilds, or friends. So they got some piece of gear that they borrowed just to go faster to tier 15 or progress in endgame and stuff like that. If you're getting further than your last character, you're making progress. Hope this helped. Let me know in the comments. Take care, everyone.